Good morning and welcome to the PNG Resources Week 2025, and more particularly, CanConnex 2025. For those who don't know, CanConnex stands for the Community Affairs and National Conference Expo, and this is what we're in right now. So what a privilege it is to see this remarkable community gather once again under one roof, committed to the future of PNG's resources, and most importantly, to the people and the communities at the heart of it. CanConnex, as many of you know, was born in 2023 out of a simple but powerful belief that our nation's success depends not just on what's beneath our soil, but on bringing together government, developers, and other stakeholders to empower communities, grow local businesses, drive social impact, and ensure that everyone in Papua New Guinea shares in the benefits of the development of our vast resources as much as possible, economically and socially and equitably. Over the past 3 years, CanConnex has grown from its ambitious first conference in Leh to this national week-long celebration of the PNG resources community and all of its stakeholders. The national and subnational governments and agencies, led of course by the Prime Minister, the developers and operators, whether PNG-owned like Kumul Petroleum, Kumul Minerals and Octedi, or foreign like Exxon, Santos, Newmont or Barrick, but also to our service companies and landcos that support the resources ecosystem, our landowner communities, and our national society as a whole. Now, PNGCORE, as many of you know, hosts two important events each year. We, of course, host the PNG Investment Week, better known as the PNG Mining and Petroleum Investment Conference, held every year for the last 30 years overseas, usually in Sydney. We also host this event, PNG Resources Week. It is our principal domestic event, and in my view, it is our most important event. It features CanConnex, the PNG Resources Summit, our PNGCORE Charity Golf Challenge, and ending with our PNG Resources Week Gala Dinner on Thursday night at the Stanley Hotel, where, graced with the attendance of the Prime Minister, we will honor the outstanding contributors in the resource ecosystem over the last 12 months. Our outstanding landcos, our outstanding leaders, and our outstanding contributors in social impact for health, education, and other means by which we deliver social impact to our communities. It will also feature our legacy awards to pioneers of our resources sector for their extraordinary contributions to the development of the sector that sustains our country. Last year, we saw the inaugural legacy awards, where we were provided those awards to two pioneers, Bill Searson and Robin Moina. And on Thursday night, we will our Prime Minister will present those awards again to two more pioneers who have made an outstanding and extraordinary contribution to the development of the industry that we enjoy today. Now, last year's Resources Week was very successful, held at the University of Papua New Guinea and the Hilton Hotel. This year, our events are spread between APEC House, the Stanley Hotel, and of course, the Royal Port Moresby Golf Club. But leading into our 50th anniversary as our country, our industry, united to stage an expo, united to celebrate our 50 years, we united also to stage an expo to showcase our history of nation-building contribution as a sector to development of our country. Over the last 3 weeks, 22 exhibitors, numbering all of our major resource projects, important government agencies, and other stakeholders, exhibited over 3 weeks here at APEC House, a historical exhibit showcasing their contributions, but also all the Papua New Guinean stories that have made those contributions possible. The Papua New Guineans have built the industry, in some cases multi-generational. And we saw that as the country responded, and particularly the city, 16,000 visitors, mainly school students, came over the last 3 weeks to learn about the impact the industry has made, to learn about the role that Papua New Guineans have played in building in the industry, and importantly, to be inspired to see a future for themselves, not just in building the industry as it continues to contribute to the country, but also building our country into the next 50 years. It was tremendously successful. We're extremely proud by it. Whether we host it on next year again, in our 50th year, depends, Prime Minister, I guess, on whether you would like us to do it again. But it was certainly an eye-opening experience for the communities in Port Moresby, but also for the resources sector that participated. And we saw how hungry the next generation were in embracing the opportunity to contribute to, a sector that has contributed so much to the lives that they enjoy today. But this event, Can Connects, is special. It's special because of the wide-ranging subject matter. It's special because of the honest talk. It's special because every stakeholder has a voice and a platform to speak and share ideas. Over the last 3 years of Can Connects, we've heard the Prime Minister outline his visions of government for sustainable development. We've heard government policies regarding national content and other forms of social impact. We've heard stories of social impact in health, education, and social development. We've heard inspiring stories, first-hand accounts of landowner companies that started by running staff kitchens and now manage complex supply chains, delivering services at international standards to world-class projects and fully staffed by Papua New Guineans. We've seen local content policies morph from paperwork into tangible business opportunities, powering thousands of SMEs and creating thousands of jobs for our youth and our women. We have heard of successes, we've heard of failures, and inspiring stories of resilience from Panguna to Porgera and all over the country. And we have learned, sometimes through hard lessons, over the course of the last 50 years, that transparency, good governance, and true partnership aren't just ideals. They're essential for meaningful and lasting progress. The success of Can Connects and PNG Resources Week underlines the importance of bringing all voices together. Divergent voices, under the leadership of the government and the Prime Minister. These are voices that don't always agree, but are united in their belief that the development of our natural resources must be accompanied by the equitable social and economic development of all of our communities. So today, this conference is bigger than bolder than ever. We have around 800 people registered for this conference. We are outgrowing all the biggest event venues in Port Moresby, as we have in Sydney. The 2025 program showcases the best of our collective efforts, from landowner companies, showcases of landowner success, gender and youth initiatives, community health and education programs, to practical discussions about law and order, mine closure, agriculture, renewables, and digital innovation. At this event and this week, we celebrate our wins, but more importantly, we roll up our sleeves and we tackle our challenges head on. You will hear from leaders transforming vocational training and adult literacy. Frontline health workers will be present to demonstrate the incredible impact in health and the help that they need. You'll hear from entrepreneurs driving agricultural booms. You'll hear from inspiring women's voices in the fight against family and sexual violence. And you'll hear from young Papua New Guineans, young, inspiring, ambitious, and hopeful Papua New Guineans, determined to shape their own destiny and the destiny of their country. And yes, we are geared for an exciting future. We are hopeful that Papua will be announced at the end of this year. We have seen Porgera reopen and provide success. We've seen all of our existing projects enjoy the support of the international commodities boom to contribute large taxes and other support to their communities. We're also hopeful that WAFI will be signed and progress this year. But throughout our ongoing journey, the call remains clear for everyone, for industry, government, civil society, and above all, our landowners. We need to work together, not just for economic growth, but for shared prosperity. Not just for headlines and social media grabs, but for a legacy where no community, regardless of where they are, whether they're in a resource project or a non-resource project, where no community is left behind. So to all of you delegates, the 800 or so who have registered, the 200 or so who are exhibiting, please engage, debate, connect. No idea is too small, no opinion too unpopular, no voice is too quiet. Over the next 3 days, let's continue to innovate, collaborate, and make our resources sector a true engine of nation building. So please network, network, network. Seize the opportunity that this event provides as it brings together this amazing community of stakeholders from around PNG and around the world. And again, you're probably sick of this. I refer to my favorite word, serendipity. The magic that happens when you least expect it, from those unexpected beneficial discoveries or insights that could change your life, that comes from chance encounters and conversations with people that you've never met or spoken to before. Sit next to a stranger in the conference room, say hello to the next person in the coffee line, sit with someone new or different at lunch and at the evening functions. Give yourself the opportunity for new discoveries, chance encounters, new connections, new collaborations, new insights and solutions. Embrace the potential for the magic of serendipity. I'd like to thank every sponsor, speaker, organizer, and partner who has helped bring CanConnects and PNG Resources Week to life this week. There are too much to mention, but I will mention the two principal sponsors, Exxon PNG LNG and PNG Mining and Petroleum Services, and more specifically their subsidiary, Kainan2 Services. I'd also like to thank the principal sponsor for the PNG Resources Summit, Tissa Bank, and the principal sponsor for our gala dinner on Thursday night, Hastings Deering. So these sponsors and the 80 organizations that are exhibiting here this week have been critical to the success of PNG Resources Week, and I'd like to say thank you to all of you. I'd also like to thank the government agencies and the government speakers that are speaking together that have importantly brought their voices to engage with the rest of the stakeholder community. And so in that regard, I must extend a special vote of thanks to the Prime Minister. He has been the common factor behind the success of CanConnects and PNG Resources Week. He has been steadfast in his support and the support by his government, including Deputy Prime Minister John Rosso and all the ministers and the rest of the whole of government. With the Marape Rosso government, there has been a strong emphasis on partnership and mature and responsible dialogue. The recognition that in order to sustainably develop our resources in a manner that enables us as a country to maximize social and economic benefits to all of our communities requires a strong belief and a visible and public demonstration of partnership, not just in rhetoric, but in actual conduct between national government, the agencies of the state, the developers, the landowner communities that host us, the hundreds of companies within the ecosystem that support these projects and state initiatives and state policy, and particularly all of our communities in our country, that all as a whole benefit and are impacted by the sustainable development of our resources. The Prime Minister, as you know, has been a strong public and importantly consistent. He's been a consistent in his emphasis on partnership, consultation, working collaboratively with all the stakeholders in the sector to advance a shared agenda of economic and social development for all of our communities. And I would like to especially thank and acknowledge the Prime Minister for his leadership and his contributions in that regard. Thank you, Prime Minister. So accordingly, it is my profound pleasure for the third year running to invite the Prime Minister to deliver his keynote address and to formally open PNG Resources Week 2025. Please join me in welcoming the Prime Minister to the podium.
All right, thank you, Anthony. I want to also reciprocate my appreciation to you and CORE and every one of you who have been involved in the mining and petroleum sector for the last 50 years. On behalf of the 7 Prime Ministers before me and myself and all our people of our country, I want to say thank you very much to the mining and petroleum sector. You have been the anchor of our nation's progress the last 50 years. And if someone has not thanked you yet or thanked you enough, then on behalf of those who came before me, and at this juncture myself, let me say a sincere word of thank you to those in the mining sector and the petroleum sector. Thank you, Thomas. And of course, this includes those of you in the subsidiary businesses that rub off or feed off the mining and petroleum sector. Let me say thank you again also for your own participation and your own growth in the sector. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be part of you this morning. Your theme, Building PNG for 50 years, as you have built PNG the last 50 years. The next 50 is coming up, and it is in our shared business and interest to build this country together, whether you are a citizen or a citizen business or a resident corporate citizen. I want to say all of us are in this together, and we just have to pull through, work together side by side, and construct a better place, a growing economy, and a prosperous PNG so that profit for your businesses and of course, a good life dividend for the citizen of this country is yield. And so I want to say the theme is appropriate in our 50th anniversary year, and I do acknowledge all of your presence here. I noted that my ministers are not in the room, but nonetheless, I'm the minister of all ministers, so I encapsulate the entire whole of government here. Sometimes, I'm lifting a lot of heavy weights, but it comes with the job, and I take all the blames and lesser credit, but it's nonetheless, it's part of my job. And I say on behalf of government, we do acknowledge all of you and all other government agencies who are here. Thank you for your presence to give respect to the sector that contributes money to pay our salaries every week and to ensure our development aspirations is met. This week is the climax of the National Month of Reflection and Celebration, the PNG Resources Month, recognizing 50 years of our independence and the foundational role the resource sector had played in our nation building. I am advised that more than 16,000, mostly young people, have attended this resource golden exhibition. And today, as we converge in this flagship summit, I want to ask you and ask myself, what kind of future are we contributing to construct of PNG the next 50 years? Today, we enjoy the luxury of life in a free market economy and a robust democracy because those who came before us were able to have the foresight, vision, determination, and created something that you and me are enjoying today. Needless to remind you, but you can only look or walk across in Melanesia, and some part of Melanesia have lost their land rights. I want to say, Papua New Guineans here, don't take your sovereignty for granted. It was a construct of the most important generation before us. They bettered something out of abstract into reality, out of concept into being conceived and bettered the nationhood we have today. And so every daughter and son of our country, especially sons, when our national anthem sings "All Rise, All His Sons," I sometimes wonder, were they cruel in omitting our daughters? But no, 50 years on, the call requires for every son of the land to really rise up and take leadership in community, at workplace, and collectively, all of us, all together, and for those of us in government, to work for the better. And so I want to say thank you to CORE. I do participate in CORE events, not to distant government, but for government to work with the sector so that we can always find a mid-place where you win some and government on behalf of people win some so that together we prosper in our land. Our country has legacy also. The downsides of a mining sector. The greatest pain we carry in the celebration of 50th year is one part of our country trying to break away. In the heart of the breakaway contest was benefit sharing from Panguna, lest we forget. That is the reason why it drives me to push as much as I can push to win more for my country as investors also win more. And I will reflect a little bit this later in my conversation on POGRA. 6 years on since I assumed the role as our country's chief servant, we have stabilized our country. Our economy was at a recessed point in 2018, negative 0.3 when we took over. Last time I was at Washington, I visited IMF head office. They indicate this year we're putting 4.7% growth. When other economies are revised down, we are revised upwards for this year. And it's not just this year, the last 4 years, we've been posting on average around 4% growth. More interestingly, and I note some speakers after me, I will sit in to listen to a presentation by Trans Wonderland on piggery and agriculture work that is happening up there. More interestingly, for the first time in 4 years, in 50 years rather, 4 consecutive years of 4% growth in the non-resource sector of economy, something very close to my heart. Because in all this conversation, anchor of a growth and sustained economy is important. The mining and petroleum harvest must be translated into sustainable economy elsewhere, more in the non-resource sector of GDP. And I want to say we are heading in the right direction, but I also have to confess, much work remains ahead of all of us. And I want to point all of us, despite growing the economy, when I took over in 2019, it was a 79.6 billion Kenya economy. Today, we're sitting at 125 billion Kenya economy, and by the end of this year, if everything goes well, we would have gone past 130 billion Kenya economy. We have given the biggest ever tax relief to our country. Much of our country remains yet passive in as far as the economic contribution is concerned. 80% of our people still live on land, and in the subsistence economy, we want to migrate this big portion into the formal economy sector, especially in agriculture. And for those of you, I want to thank all of you in the mining space and petroleum space. Thank you. In your community of engagements, you have now ramping up purchases and involvement of the local community in this sector, especially the agro, food, and service sectors. I just want to say thank you for this. For the first time in as many years today now, we have been heading down fiscal consolidation, and by 2027, we will see balanced budget for the first time. And I speak to you because you're all taxpayers and you're wondering what's happening in terms of the macroeconomic management. We're heading towards a balanced budget for the first time in 2027. In case you forget the last 4 years, after the high of 8.8% deficit in 2020 as a result of COVID-19, we've been fiscally reducing our deficit all the way. This year under 3%, next year will be under 2%, and 2027 we'll hit balanced budget again. The last time this country had a balanced budget was National Alliance-led government in 2010. And so we're coming back to sanity in as far as how we manage our resources are concerned. Our fiscal position is much better now. We've increased, for instance, our domestic revenue for the first time to 18%. It is usually averaged below 10% for a long time. And I want to say part of this has been the way we have been handling our resource projects. And I do apologize for the delay in Wafi-Golpu. I do apologize for the delay in other resource projects. Some circumstances are beyond my control, but some circumstances are within my control. Those within my control, I must do. And one of them is trying my very best to secure these long-term projects at a rate above 55% net residual economic take for the country. Net residual economic take. That includes local content. In that 55%, it includes local content. In basic layman's language, for every dollar produced from this project, PNG must get 55 cents, at least at minimum, and 45% can be earned by our investment partners to remit back elsewhere. We're lining up next 15 years of project construction in our country. And I want to announce that while some may seem slow and delayed, it is better doing it correctly for all of us than hastily doing it only for regret and fight down the line. Our country has a fair share of fight, but also a fair share of respect to project agreements. Bougainville on one side, and Lihir, Pogora, and Oktedi and others on the other side. And I know as a son and a child of resource area, we want to do it correctly so the investor win and all of us win. And in this context, we are moving projects slowly but diligently towards a better venture that yields dividend for investors in our country and our people. Next 15 years is exciting coming up. We have over almost $60 billion worth of projects that can be progressed. I rate them AAA or A grade projects like Papua LNG, Penang LNG, possibly Wildebeest. I came out from meeting the ExxonMobil leadership at Houston. They did indicate to me clearly the desire, and consistent with our own desires, that we synchronize Papua LNG, Penang LNG, and Wildebeest LNG and others. For those of you who are familiar with the geological map, the Southern Fault Belt, in as far as the resource placement is concerned. So these projects, if synchronized, this oil and gas or LNG sector alone is almost over $40 to $50 billion worth of investment. I want to update all of you. Mr. Puyanes informed me by way of a letter and also a telephone conversation. Papua LNG bids have come in. It is coming at a little bit of higher than the expected cost estimate for project FID. They're asking government to sit with them again. We also working with them. Government is not willing to relook at the fiscals, but how do we find cost saving? And I have to be transparent. I said the cost tenders have come in, said above what is expected as the cost of a project, and we are in discussion to make sure Papua is not abandoned. The good news is it is still within forecast. They said if we can reach an undertaking, then it can come on board in as far as FID is concerned at the end of the year or early next year. Papua LNG, Penang LNG, and Wildebeest can give us minimum $40 to $45 billion FIDs in the LNG space. Not to mention, or not to include, rather, Pasca condensate project that is running. I want to say thank you to the investors in Pasca, Twinja, and MRDC. Pasca LNG is a small neat project that is modeled at 70% benefit retention in our country. 70% benefit retention in our country. Paitim Handler Liklik project at Pasca, Papua New Guinea. And so Pasca is running on the side. I want to appreciate Santos, PNG LNG, partners, Exxon, as well as others who are also doing a flotation storage facility in the Gulf of Papua, replacing Kumul terminal that has been in that place since 1990. That work is going on. It's a busy piece of real estate in the Papuan coastline, the Papuan highlands, as far as oil and gas is concerned. I want to say thank you also to Total. Total is doing for the first time exploration in Mailu. There's $100 million worth of exploration running in Mailu. From seismic data, they indicate exciting prospects there. We don't know what's under the sea. We can only establish the resource type and resource volume after exploration is completed. My government is also looking at giving incentive to exploration so that we could attract exploration. Papua New Guinea, you're fortunate for the first time now, two of the majors in oil and gas, Total and Exxon, are also engaged in exploration as well as post-exploration harvest. Paitim Handler is the Tupla Bipla company engaged. So Total is doing exploration in Mailu. For those of you who do not know where Mailu is, hands up those of you who do not know Mailu. All right. We now, for the first time, through Connect PNG, and Connect PNG is not a scam, it's a scam in the minds of my oppositions only. We're now doing road running from Port Moresby to Alatau. Join me sometimes. I'll find a free weekend in August. I will be driving from Port Moresby to Alatau. But if you drive from Port Moresby to Alatau, in the middle of the drive, you come across a place called Cloudy Bay, Amazon, and this place, beautiful part of Papua New Guinea. The best people live there. I know all of us are best, but the best people live there. The idea is for us to do that highway also as part of local tourism and get out from Port Moresby. So, but that is a beautiful drive, agriculture, tourism, fisheries. We're exporting crab for the first time from that part of our country to Singapore right now. But that gas find, or that condensate find, possible condensate, if it is established, could be something big for all of us. And I want to say thank you very much to Total for picking up that piece of real estate and working on exploration. We wish you all the best. Likewise, ExxonMobil has some interesting real estate up there, and we're working with them. Wildebeest could be anywhere between 1 TCF to 26 TCF, and they need us to give them some incentives and work with them for exploration. It will be a 5-kilometer drill into earth to establish the size of the reserve for them to progress into the next phase. And if we sequence all of this together, the oil and gas, that's almost $50 billion worth of investment in the oil and gas space. And for those of you in the environmental conscious and sensitive people, I want to say Papua New Guinea is carbon negative country. So I invite all oil and gas to keep on doing business here because we are carbon negative. Our forests, our corals, our marine, our sea size, 2.9 million square kilometers of ocean we have, as well as our 462,860 square kilometers of land. 80% is forest covered. And so we are carbon negative, not carbon neutral. We have 100 million metric tons of carbon absorption capacity. Our carbon footprint is 10 million metric tons. So carbon negative by miles. Mr. Paul Marlow and a team from Cement, do more cement here. Your cements and your products will be labeled as green product. And for Total and Exxon, Santos, and all of you in the gas and petroleum sector, you're in a carbon negative country. Fear not, invest more in our country, and we work together. Am I right? So in the LNG space, I've given you that coverage. And in the mining sector, Wafi-Golpu, very, very close. I know you're saying when, but Wafi-Golpu, very, very close. Are you regretting earning from the Pogra right now? You're not regretting. Good things come to those who are patient. And two investors, as well as Kumul Minerals, we're working in a bigger picture. They're 35% equity holders. We are 30% equity holders. We're just working through final mechanics to structure a mine that will be 40 years in terms of the contract we'll give them. And so for me to give a 40-year contract, I need to be absolutely certain it is something that I will live with. And to the investors, it is something that is good so that in 40 years' time into future, the people will give you the social license to renew the mine because I believe the mine is much longer than the 40 years. So we're coming across Wafi-Golpu. In the mining sector, we want to get Wafi off, then Frida, Yandara, Mount Kare, Kiliteke, Tolukama back up and running, smaller it is, but important resource in the central province. Misima and Woodlark, that's currently, Kumul Mineral Holdings subsidiary, Okteri, and the landowners and the provincial government should work in that space. We got Mambare in Oro province. We have Wild Dog, I think it is, in East New Britain doing some work there. We got, I want to say thank you to CRA doing some work in Manus. And so right across all parts of our country, there's an activity happening. We pass back Panguna shares we held to Bougainville government to assist them decide on what to do. So in the mining space, the last I looked at a map, North, New Guinea Islands, Central, Northeast, and Southwest, all parts of our country, the next 15 years should have mining activities. For me, that is not a concentrated economy in one space, but a good spread right across our country so that the economic activities is happening in all parts of our country the next 10, 15 years in as far as construction and post-construction for harvest. So I've basically given you a big, deep canvas in the mining space and petroleum space, 15 years of exciting construction economy coming up. And I want to say it is your job and my job. Those of you in the investor space, respect me in as far as my 55% is concerned, and you can deal with your 45% take, and together we find an agreement that is workable. For those who said we cannot do it, I point to you, POGRA. POGRA today is producing at these benefit sharing arrangements. They get their share, we get our share. When I engage in negotiation with Mr. Bristow, and I want to step back and say thank you very much to Mr. Bristow, I want to say thank you to him. He deserves a clap. POGRA, by the way, is a very hard place to operate a mine, but today, this year onwards, they've already paid 456 million kina first half tax, corporate income tax. 456 million kina corporate income tax. Dividend, in the way we've structured dividend sharing, Kumul's 36%. Kumul put no one toya in the restart up of the mine. We structured in a manner in which Kumul pays as we go along. If the gold price had remained at $1,536, Kumul would have paid out its share in 8 to 10 years. I was no prophet, but those who were with me in the negotiating room, when we negotiated, I told Mr. Vele and everyone else, write this down. Within 3 years, gold price would have gone past $3,000. And so today, gold price is doing very well. They have returned some dividend, and the dividend to the Enga provincial government and the landowners up there, please don't break up the bridge that heads into POGRA mine. Please protect the road that goes into POGRA mine. This mine is producing as much as for you as well as the country. From what you were earning at 5% equity and 2% royalty in a 3 deduction ratio, today you get 15% equity and a 3% royalty in a 2 deduction ratio. I speak this because I know exactly what I'm talking about. I know how the formulas and calculations are. So it's a better 3% royalty than the 2% royalty you were receiving earlier. Total all in all, 18% to Enga provincial government. I ask you, protect this Enga provincial government and people. Protect POGRA infrastructures, protect public assets leading into POGRA. POGRA is a wonderful example of company winning and people winning. When Mr. Bristow and me first started, I'm a hard negotiator for my country. I don't mix my word too. I told him, my friend, you sit on 51% equity, and you sit on 49% equity, I sit on 51% equity. It is a brownfield, not a greenfield project like WAFI and others. And I said, I'm going out to drink coffee. If you agree on this one, we're in negotiation. If you're not agree, then we go back to court. And I left the room, and he came, fetched me 15 minutes later. We went back, and I said, your IRR is preserved. For investors, I want to tell you, your IRR is preserved. And I said, your IRR is preserved in your 49%. We negotiate based on the fact that you will still make profit on the side of 49%, and the country makes their money on the side of 51%. Everyone wins, you don't lose. And that business principle was understood, and Mr. Bristow shook hands. We have a deal, and we went to work, and New POGRA now, 3 years later, is producing and returning to our country, returning to the 3 shareholder clusters, as well as will contribute better for our country going forward. And I want to say that, to me, is a model of shared partnership and investors and government and people working together. New POGRA today employs 97% local employees. Mr. Bristow said anyone who wants to do business in New POGRA must have a resident office in Enga province. Must have a resident office in Enga province. And so we're working towards, and I ask Enga people, it is your business to support, because government and investors want to work in as far as not just the actual benefit harvest, but also, more importantly, the local content and the spin-offs. I want to encourage all of you as we work our national local content policy, look into how best the residual value of these businesses, these investments, could filter and settle in Papua New Guinea and not elsewhere. Prioritize local land costs and PNG SMEs, employ and train local workers. And I want to say to some of you, I see my friend Mark sitting here. Thank you very much. Mark is an example of a company who employs local Papua New Guineans and also skill them here and take them elsewhere. Mark and Sun Engineering, thank you to Masli, your type of investments in our country. So train them, employ them, and if you have other business elsewhere, I can tell you, all of you investors in PNG, my Papua New Guinean workers will be some of the hardest working workers you will find on the face of planet Earth. Of course, they chew buai once in a while, but apart from buai chewing, you give them work that is hardest working people on the face of planet Earth. We come from hard terrain. We've been in this part of planet Earth for over 10,000 years. We know what it is to live and work in hard environment. You train them well, pick them up, they will go with you and help work with you in other parts of Earth. And I'm preparing Kumul Mineral Holding Limited through Octeri to have a subsidiary in having mine working people exported elsewhere also. And I want all of you, Barik. I came back from Houston and I was so proud, something that warmed my heart, and my brother Arthur, you and me were part of that team in 2008 and 9 that recruited over, if my memory is not wrong, 200 Papua New Guineans finally from a batch of 12,000 that was selected. I was education minister back then. We went out recruiting best of the best in PNG. Today we have more than 10, I think, if I'm not wrong, and few of them work in Houston ExxonMobil headquarters in Texas right now, working as engineers and everything else. So yeah, please train, employ, train, and take Papua New Guineans with you so that we could grow more others who are coming up. The 16,000 who passed through, they could come into the industry. Transfer skills and technology into our community, and of course, invest more in CDA projects. I know it's not your direct core business, but I thank all of you. I see Kanatu Mine and every one of you, Harmony and all who work, Newmont, Newcrest, Newmont, ExxonMobil, Total. I thank all of you. I see you investing in the local communities. Big thank you to Maslong, Olkadala Yupla. Papua New Guinea is an exciting place. In conclusion, I want to bring my speech to a conclusion. We have market within reach. Last week, I was given the privilege of being the first foreign leader to have a bilateral with the Japanese Prime Minister after he's secured his mandate after the elections. We sat down and have a cordial conversation for more than an hour. He said, Mr. Prime Minister, everything you produce, Japan will buy. Before that, I met the 6 foundational buyers of our resource from Octeri. All of them told me for 40 years, Octeri has never failed to supply product to our international destination. Thank you to much, Octeri. The 6 of them said, we are here to buy more resource. I told them, I got Wafigolpu, Frida, Yandara, and everything else coming up. Japanese market is open to subsume anything we produce. 2 years ago, I had the extraordinary privilege of also having bilateral with President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Li Keqiang. Both of them told me they need resource. I said, we have resource. They said, our economy is big. Anything you produce, we can buy. Of course, our other bilateral trading nations, USA, Australia, France, India, Europe, UK. My engagements overseas, in the belly of these engagements, is to secure market for our producers and also seeking investors as well as entrenching those of you who are already in investment. This work we are doing, and I want to say together we can grow the education sector, health sector, law and order sector, build more infrastructures to create a modern economy, a good country that protects investors and has citizens, and all of us live and flourish together. As I conclude, I want to ask all of you, examples are in this room. For those of you Lencos who are coming in recently, no can kiss him money, na kaikai, na waste money. Set him company, people are good. I want to point to you 2 Lencos, in my view, are doing very well apart from others. I was privileged to be part of a small landowner company up there in Heights in the 1990s, early 1990s. That used to be run by Mr. Andagali. I see he's going to be in this program later on. Mr. Andagali, and I want to thank him and his simple tribal people. What they did, Andagali was the only educated guy. Rest of his directors were placemen. Only Saula English, almost all written right. But what that small company did, Guinea Development Corporation, today it is my firm belief that in as far as ratio of earning against dividend, they would have paid the highest dividend that any other land co in our country thus far. Because I was part of the operation team and I knew exactly what was happening up there. But what they did was they set up a management structure that was farmed out. Every month there were external audits happening. It wasn't just them. The directors were the clan leaders, but there were external auditors coming in every month so that the governance structure was second to none. At arm's length, they were checking on the Landco company. Today, almost 40 years on, it still survives to this day. Whilst the bigger cousins like HGDC and Trans Wonderland may have overstood them, but trust me, others can go, but this small company will live on. GDC will live on because of the foundational basis, governance structure, transparency, external audit, and profit, not charity, was the modus operandi. This is an example to many of you Landcos. Don't be just a mushroom that emerges in a session and then disappears. It must be sustained business and generational business that lives beyond the project time. Second example I want to say to Lihir people, I was pleased that our office in Brisbane is in a building our Lihir landowners owned. Last week coming back, or previous week coming back, I was in this high-rise building that our Lihir landowners owned. So to Lihir landowners, thank you to Mas and those. Whilst I'm a big grumbler in the fact that the Lihir project is not paying enough corporate tax to my view, but I may be wrong, and accounting can confirm this. Fourth or fifth biggest gold mine, maybe the operational structure cost is bigger, but Ipokra could be paying good tax now. I'm sure Lihir could be paying tax also. But the spin-off benefits, on one side I'm complaining, but on the other side I'm happy that the spin-off benefits to our landowners, they're getting more. And the landowners have invested well. They have got investments overseas and in country also. That is another example of how a mine could be a catalyst for intergenerational sustainable wealth. They own this building, high-rise building in Brisbane, in which our council sits in. A third one I want to point is MRDC. To MRDC, from a company in the early formative years, a small company. When I was intending to be a politician in 2002, I remember very well, my good schoolmate, Dan Kakarai, was running it. It was a 300 million kina company rather. Today, MRDC sits at a 15 billion kina asset and cash company, a success story in itself, where the muscle of pulling together resource into one balance sheet gives you total aggregate, a powerhouse investment vehicle for our country. And so it's a testament of individual land costs at the floor, the mid-size, and together at the national, all pulling together. So we got wonderful testaments in our country. Look within, exchange your business card. And I want all of you to work side by side and build a cadre of businessmen, businesswomen at the family, at the clan, at the land core, and collectively as a country. And we can work with our foreign investment partners who are also here with us. They choose to invest in our country, they're here. Let's not rubbish them. Let's find a win-win place for all of us. And together we work to make our country a better place going forward. The last 50 years was built by sheer muscle, determination, and strength of the generation who came before us. The next 50 must be built by intelligence, hard work, perseverance, commitment, foresight by our generation. Are you willing to step out in your area of work and do your part for your country? We also trying our best for our country. May God bless PNG. May God bless each and every one of you.